This lesson will discuss some of the important phenomena associated with change. We have all heard the phrase in business, change or die. In today's global market, change is a regular occurrence. Our agility in meeting customer expectations is expected. This is a perpetual process. Change efforts involve everyone, but they typically are driven by a change agent. Change agents are responsible for initiating and managing the change process. Most managers and process owners are expected to be change agents. Change agents can exist at all levels of the organization. They can also be external or internal to the organization. There are pluses to each type. External change agents are more objective and free from the political restraints of the organization, but they will not have intimate knowledge of the business. Internal change agents will have the opposite set of circumstances. The change agent must anticipate resistance to change and find ways to overcome it. This can be done not only through communication, but also through enlistment of key employees, providing training and counseling, negotiation of change arrangements, manipulation, and as a last resort, threats or direct force. When implementing change, we begin by unfreezing the existing behavior patterns and practices of the work group. The change agent should expect to encounter and deal with resistance. Next, we make moves to the new configuration through training and communication. Finally, we refreeze after training has been conducted and documentation has been updated to reflect the changes implemented. Our ability to execute on this formula quickly and effectively translates into our ability to exceed customer expectations. After all, resting on our laurels is not a behavior we associate with Lean Six Sigma. There are several types of organizational change. When the company shifts its direction and resources toward new business, we deem this to be a strategic change. Organizations that adopt automation or modernization of key processes undergo technological change. At times, companies pivot from functional to product structures or seek to eliminate management layers. This is known as structural change. Organizations also seek to change attitudes and behaviors of individuals. Large-scale change does still occur within projects, but organizations have moved more toward more numerous projects, each with a smaller scope and time frame. Realizing that a large-scale project will not deliver the prescribed benefits after the passage of years of dedicated resources can be a very bitter pill to swallow for top management. Proper training and alignment can help this effort. The use of teams can also help to shorten time frames as well. Teams can provide gains in buy-in. Make sure to include the entire team in all decisions. One of the most predominant barriers to change comes from the organizational structure. Of course, no organization is considered to be barrier-free. It depends on how the organization is utilized in making decisions and influencing change. In flat organizations, decisions are made at the lower levels of the organization. As a result, decisions can be inconsistent and unstable based on who is making the decision. Because there are fewer decision levels, the organization could default to one individual for the majority of the decisions. As a result, decisions can be more likely to be flawed as opposed to those made with the combined group. In a vertical organization, decisions at the lower levels are vetted by individuals at the higher level. Communication can be greatly slowed as well as filtered, and the organization's ability to react quickly to change is greatly impacted. As a result, minor issues can go undetected until they have grown into major issues. Functional organizations consist of individuals with highly specialized skill sets. As a result, individuals with the ability to analyze problems from a more overarching perspective may be scarce. As a result, tribalism can negatively impact the quality and objectivity of our decisions. Product organizations tend to become distracted away from the imperatives of the business and instead focus on competing for company resources and consumer markets. Geographic organizations are similar to functional organizations, but the groupings are nationalistic or cultural. In matrix organizations, individual contributors can report to two or more people. This can create conflicts for the individual. Like product organizations, there can be internal pressures associated with competing resources, directives, and values. Team-based organizations are hard to form and require more time to develop. Organizations with many short-term threats would be best advised to steer clear of this model. Team-based organizations tend to create pockets of knowledge. When the organization loses team members, there can be a loss of job knowledge and expertise. Much like geographic organizations, tribalism within the team can blur business goals and communication channels. Effective communication is essential in any project-related undertaking. We should have a communication plan in place before rolling out any initiative. A successful communication strategy can make the difference between well-received and poorly received changes. When devising a communication plan, we must start with some high-level details. First, what is it we wish to change? How difficult is the change? What will be required in implementing the change? Who is affected by the change? And how are they affected? What is the reason for the change? What need is being fulfilled? How do we expect those who are impacted by the change to react? What can we offer to clarify the situation? It is always best to speak plainly about these matters. Communication plans are not sales pitches. They are meant to inform and raise awareness and understanding. Look at the issue from their point of view. What questions would you ask in their shoes? Be prepared to provide these answers. Addressing these areas helps to determine and/or predict the impact and acceptance of the change. More follow-up communications may be needed, especially with those who are directly impacted. Depending on the level of commitment, one could also consider enlisting the sponsor to assist in opening the conversation with those directly impacted to lessen the blow. This helps to keep the official communication on topic and minimizes the potential of losing control. Once we have a communication plan in place, our path to effective communication of change begins with our ability to be specific on the change. Give it as many details on what will be done, who will be affected, how, and when. Change is typically received with anxiety. Make it easy for those receiving the message to get all the information they need. The last thing we want is rumor and conjecture to fill in gaps in understanding. Utilize senior leadership to help deliver the message. When we communicate, it is a two-sided conversation. Encourage and create an atmosphere for abundant and frequent exchange. Use as many different methods of communication as possible. We can never over-communicate. Get and stay ahead of rumor. We cannot unring the bell. Provide opportunities for employees to network with each other regarding the change. Make sure these sessions are highly structured and productive. We do not want them to devolve into a platform for dissent and disruption. Communication is something that is never considered to be perfect in the organization. While we desire the person sending the message to be clear and detailed, we also expect the person receiving the message to listen and contribute in a constructive manner. Make sure to include the reasons for the change and offer full detail on how it will impact affected areas and personnel, both positively and negatively. Anticipate the questions that will be asked and prepare answers for those questions. Answer honestly, accurately, and what you know. It is okay to say that you do not have the answer when asked, but commit to getting the answer quickly. Proactiveness is essential to arrest speculation and gossip. Employees tend to embrace change. They are uncertain about the new ways of doing things. People must feel involved in the change. Involvement creates commitment. Despite how well we communicate, we should be prepared for resistance. Our ability to anticipate the questions that will be asked and having answers available for these questions help. We can also use our stakeholder analysis to assist in planning our response to resistance. Choose your words and actions carefully. Sometimes our effort to communicate can create resistance. Make sure to listen thoughtfully. Tone and behavior is critical to the success of the conversation. We don't want to make excuses, speak quickly, or act defensive. As we have discussed, there are many methods of effective communication. You may find this communication spectrum of use. When we desire raised awareness, we lean more toward the email end of the spectrum to assist in getting our message across. When we desire action, we lean toward the one-on-one meeting. Recognize that methods of communication cannot be interchanged from one end of the spectrum to the other. This is a common mistake among inexperienced managers who struggle to move a project forward by relying solely on email communication to promote action.